No, I'm just trying to.
I'm in the
Mic
Teams
check.
meeting.
Hey,
Hey,
Don.
Don.
I hear you.
Oh, the TV needs to be unmuted. Okay.
Did you hear me, Tron?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Do I have
Okay, mic check, mic check. Okay, that goes on. I thought the logic tech was supposed to follow me. Was this used to be on the top of the TV screen? Versus,
Are you asking me? I'm sorry, I don't know.
yeah, I mean, I thought it was up here.
That'll work as long as the microphone picks up.
Yeah, the microphone picks up well. Okay. I'll get everyone.
Okay.
Except Jason. Jason
Mike's
might be-
on his way and Jason's coming soon.
Okay. For some reason, I thought this thing would be tracking us, but this meeting was set to be recorded and. Okay.
When things get going, I'll probably mute myself.
Sounds good. Turn the volume down just a bit. All right. Oh, we still got 10 minutes. We'll go ahead and mute us in here for now too.
Okay.
I just learned of it recently. Okay. Donna, can you hear us? You could just, yeah, I could see you say,
Yes.
okay, thank you. All right, with that said, we'll call to order the Monroe County Surveyor Review Board meeting for December 17th at 4 p.m. to order. I will quickly mention that we will have a hard stop at 4:45 so we can leave the meeting room available for the next meeting at 5 and try to minimize any interruption or overlap with both in the next meeting. With that said, I'm looking for approval with the agenda with a change of moving the preservation monument, Salt Creek G15 to B and item B under certified corners, and then corner surveyor perpetuation B to A. I feel like that'll be the best use of our time, and if we can get to Salt Creek, that'd be great. And we'll leave new business as is, but I was gonna fly through those a bit.
Okay,
You could say so moved.
so moved.
Okay.
Second.
Second, all right, so we have a motion to adjust the agenda as stated. I'll indicate that we have two members present, no members attending online, so we can do a voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 All right, hearing two ayes, motion is passed. And we will go along with approval of minutes from October 15th, 2024. I'll kind of go to the top page. We had all three members present. Is there any changes?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. I'll do a voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I said aye.
Oh, did you? Okay. Hearing two ayes, motion passed, minutes are approved. We'll go to new business. Office update. We're wrapping up the end of the year. If we're able to, we have surpassed our quota. We're on the brink of getting 100 monuments approved this year, exactly 100 if all of these are approved, but that should not incentivize anyone or persuade anyone. But I'll just indicate one other thing about that is, you know, with some of the support I've received by our council and commissioners, I've mentioned how, you know, I would like to continue to tackle the perpetuation efforts of the county and surpass just, you know, meeting the quota, and anything we can do extra by service agreements and in-house work, we will, and this is a indication of those efforts. So, and a quick thank you to everyone that has contributed time and effort to our efforts. So I'll move quickly. All right, adoption of the 2025 Monroe County Surveyor Review Board. Donna had put a nice little calendar in the agenda. As always, you know, if we seem to have issues with quorum or the availability just is tight on members, we'll reach out with alternative dates and kind of do the public notice and reserve a room as needed. But this is a way for us to provide this to TSD and others that help us reserve the rooms for now. Any glaring issues or anything?
I'm just kind of looking and seeing what it entails.
I know that we talked quickly that January is an interesting time because of
Nothing in
the
March.
convention.
Hmm.
But I think we can address that kind of as we get a little bit closer. We have submitted overnight requests for us to attend that. So, January might just be a month where, we'd rather give your time back to you. But as of now, we have it set for the 20th.
So there's not gonna be a meeting in March. Oh, let me see. ISBLS update.
Because of road school, it looks like maybe.
Wait, no,
That's correct. I did not schedule a meeting in March because of road school.
but January, that's Martin Luther King Day, so that's not the 20th. So those are holidays and 21st. So so the Tuesday, okay.
November 18th, kind of a holiday day.
That's
that-
Mike's birthday.
I got a lot of July 15th.
Kind of a holiday.
So we're looking for a motion to adopt the agenda for next year. And I'll go ahead and skip to question to board members. If you would like to serve in 2025, maybe we should have put that in order. I'm not sure everyone's was CC'd on the correspondence with board member Boardman. And he said he would be fine with serving again. As everyone's aware, this is a yearly appointment, so we pretty much just provide that to the commissioners for approval. And
Do you want a motion on this one, Rachel?
Motion to adopt the 2025 Monroe County Surveyor schedule.
Second.
all right,
Somebody waiting.
yeah, that's maintenance security. Okay, so we have a motion and a second to adopt the 2025 calendar. Do a voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye, all right. Moving right along, we would like to ask if you are willing to serve again?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I don't think there's a motion. And then there's board member questions. We want to open this up to you.
Are you looking at doing another corner perpetuation project again in 2025?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I know I need to get it out in front of this. I was talking with Jason and I think we probably have a good balance to try to repeat what we did last year. The corner fund had dipped actually pretty significant, a lot more than I had anticipated. We were expecting around 70, and it's usually around 90 with a couple outlier years, and where it was even more of a healthy revenue. Coming in around 115, I think is kind of, don't want to speculate too much. I have the numbers, but I think for 2 years, we were getting around 115, then it dipped to 70, and I think it's coming just a shy under 70 now. With personnel coming out of that and all of our operational needs coming out of that, I've been able to keep a good reserve for section corner perpetuation projects. But I'm going to kind of throttle back a little bit just to make sure we insulate ourselves for any issues if that fund doesn't start moving back to where we anticipated, which is around the 90. And that's kind of been kind of the I guess we just kind of the baseline of what we anticipate with all of the personnel coming out of it and other costs. So like it needs to start getting back there. Could you go tell Bobby that we'll be out at 45 after? So yeah, so long story short, we're going to move forward just at a slower pace, make sure that revenue starts coming back up so we can sustain this because ultimately the personnel will be my main goal. There could be long-term efforts towards trying to move some personnel out of the corner fund again, but last time I attempted that, I was successful. It took about 10 years to do.
So is this something that you're gonna be looking at trying to turn loose by spring or?
Yes.
Okay, before
And-
spring.
That's another thing is they don't want us to encumber the money. So starting once the new budget cycle
Begins.
will be the best, and then ending it when that budget cycle ends, and then being able to pay out that amount. So we don't have to worry about encumbering or double budgeting. Especially if we do that, the dollars start getting pretty high and you start seeing that we're spending a lot more than we're bringing in. And then that might just bring in a lot more concern than is really needed. But I don't want to kind of get. too
Yeah,
ahead of
let's not go
myself.
down that rabbit hole too deep. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll just have to explain to folks what we're doing again and kind of, but that's all right. Is there any other questions or thoughts? I will say that I still want to kind of follow through on kind of having more discussions about moving forward with having Mike on board and some of kind of how those conversations that you had about the plat review process and things. Due to the time today, I would just like to maybe continue that discussion
Later.
and maybe depending if we want to have one during the review board or internally, either way is fine. I talked with legal and there is no issue with us meeting outside of the review board since we won't be looking at any certification of corners. So
Okay.
I wanted to make sure I mentioned that so it didn't seem like I was just kind of trying to slide by. Just there's been a lot of other things going on, which now with the plans commission's responsibility with the CDO, and yesterday they made a recommendation to the county commissioners, and we might see that document adopted tomorrow at their 5:30 meeting if they're happy with it. So that's taken a lot of time and effort from me. So now that that's passed, I feel like I can kind of refocus. So, all right, well, that was a lot longer than I anticipated. We'll move through. We moved item B up, and with that said, we'll let Mike take it away. Section 5 going. Section 5, there's one corner on here that Mike would like to discuss, and that's the Blossom I.
Yeah, actually, I'll start with IO5. We already approved how to establish IO5 and it has now been set. So it's kind of a done deal. But IO3, that's the only corner that we haven't already discussed in section 5. We did set a rebar there. The method of establishment was we extended a line from the north through a 1/2-inch rebar that was at an old fence corner that had been accepted by at least 3 different surveyors. And I found a deed, it's in the report. The deed didn't actually call for the rebar, but it called for their corner being at a distance of 399.89 feet from that section corner. And that distance just seemed to work fairly well, seemed to be a pretty logical location for that section corner. So that's how I established it. And really, when you look at the bearing of the north and south half of that section, that's pure coincidence. It kind of amazed me. It came out within 3 seconds, almost virtually a straight line. When the corner from the south was established from the section to the south, and the corner to the north was established from monuments to the north, and the entire line came out as one straight line, coincidentally. it fell in a funny little patch of woods with kind of a crop field surrounding it. I don't know why that little cluster of woods was left there. Wasn't really a sinkhole that we could tell. It's what you would think driving by it. But there wasn't any distinctive occupation signaling the corner in the immediate vicinity. We spent quite a bit of time on that one, actually searching, pondering different ideas. And that deed, I double checked a little while ago, is in the deed research folder if anybody wanted to see it.
I can reference the honeybees.
Oh, yeah. And there's a cool little walnut tree there that had an active hive inside it.
And you said we already talked about IO3.
We did, yeah, or IO5, not IO3. IO5,
Oh,
yeah. We talked about that method of establishment and it was accepted, other than it wasn't actually set at the time of the last meeting, but it has now been set. Somewhere in the vicinity of it is a set of truck keys.
And we could look at these one at a time, or we could kind of try to go through as much as possible.
Well, this one probably is a one at a time because it lays section 5 to rest. So.
At least this particular one.
That point number 10499,
Mhm.
the half-inch rebar.
Yeah.
It's about 399 feet north of
Mhm.
of the position. Any idea what the origin of that was? Is that a Farkas half-incher?
I couldn't truly find the origin. There is a Jess Gwynn survey. And I think he, yeah, I referenced it there. I think he mentioned that he thought it was Farkas,
Mhm.
but I don't know that, I think I did find a Farkas survey that would maybe make you believe it, but some of those Farkas surveys were just
Yeah.
the drawing. It doesn't really lead you to believe for sure that it was.
Yeah, it just depends, right?
Yeah, it's almost like a drawing. There's not really symbols and there's no legend to really let you know.
So can I ask you this? So I'm seeing what looks to me like a fence to the west here that was running north and south. What's going on north of the position that you calculated and that 10499? Is there any fence in that area north of this?
Yes, 10499. There's a good, very old fence shoots straight north off of it. Goes as far as I could see or know. Then there's a little short segment of fence that goes west off of it. I don't really know why. And it goes over to a little rebar that we referenced. That's a Potter rebar. And I called him and he was like, I think about 25 years ago, I'll dig around. He never got back with me. But I found and referenced a deed that calls both rebars. It calls our half-inch rebar as being on the section line. Then it calls his and then a little break. I don't know what's going on there, but there's definitely our half-inch rebar is called for in some deeds as being on the section line. Jess Gwynn accepted as being on the section line.
Mhm.
Like I say, it agrees with a very old northbound fence, agrees with the corner of an old cemetery. The deeds to them in the immediate vicinity are very screwy.
I was gonna ask that, does that deed go into both sections? It almost looks like it's the same ownership between, it does, okay.
It's very, and I did notice even as an uncertainty there that there was, that corner is called as being so far south of a property line that it's an angled property line. And I think from an angled fence, we were within about 10 feet of that deed call. But again, it's an angled fence, and as I think the deed even just said like southwesterly, it didn't even give a distinctive bearing on it, so it left for a lot of room for question.
I've got nothing further to add to this. I like it.
I might add, if you wanted to glance over at section 4, you can see it lined up fairly well with the east to west half section line of that section also. Just kind of as a check.
Did you look at the railroad plans in there and see if they had the section, the quarter section
No,
shown on them?
not even crossed my mind, railroad plans. I don't even know where you would find them.
I found a bunch and went down to Salem and got a bunch and then.
Really?
And then went through them all and figured out what sections they covered and named them by that.
Really?
And sometimes they did have like a stone or something called
Is that
that,
right?
but it was only about 5%.
Huh.
So always check them when there's a railroad nearby, and
But
it's
that's-
always fruitless.
That railroad would be,
But there is a railroad folder that has,
Okay.
that you can check by section township
Okay.
range and see if there is anything.
yeah, the railroad would be on the other side of the road in this case, but interesting idea that honestly never crossed my mind. It was pretty evident for me from any recent surveys in that area by Potter and Farkas that nobody really knew where that corner was. Jeff Squins made mention that he had went down and probed. He made mention of the little, he was in the same area we were because he made mention of the little clump of trees. And he actually made mention of a stone that we found laying on the ground somewhat nearby. But he never did establish an exact point. He just said he went and probed the area.
And did you check at the 3059 distance,
The,
Record.
the legal survey record?
oh,
Best distance.
the
I've
30
read the theory, but
What
then
would that be? 3059?
it would have been farther, closer to Wampler Road, right?
Yeah, that would put you completely in a crop field.
Oh, so nowhere
And if
really.
you looked over
nowhere to
here,
look.
if you looked over here at section 4, it would, I also probably never even made mention, but I shot Wampler Road before it bent. It was theoretically on the section line, and this lined up real well with that. That 3059 would not look good with anything, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
So I pulled up 5.
Wow, where'd you find that?
I just on our records under, it's just in the railroad. When you go to plats and records, railroad.
That's actually kind of amazing that it has a stone. It's really rare.
Is
So
it,
can you bring it back up?
is it tied to anything?
Yeah,
Go
Steve.
ahead and bring up section 4 too, since that's something. Yeah.
Well, we knew the old legal survey book had called the stone, and we found the stone laying flat. Having been, could have been the stone disturbed.
Make that just as big as you can, yeah.
Oh, wow. Wow.
There's a distance from the center line of the
578.
railroad.
I'll be done.
But is there anything north-south? If you,
Yeah, going to the south. There's a call. from the railroad there.
Look, what do they show with the section corner too? That'd be good to.
Stone.
Down.
Okay.
I feel like that should be analyzed. Probably. What do you think?
Yeah. So can you, well, I'm not going to ask you to go to that. So is that, yeah,
I mean, you could
Although
probably analyze it
ultimately-
pretty easily just from CAD or with a scale.
Although ultimately, if we did shoot over here to the railroad, which wouldn't hurt. Ultimately, and if it, we wouldn't hold that over this old fence line and rebar though, even if it was a few feet off.
Even though that's I mean, you could potentially be putting that in as a existent corner,
so basically,
right, off those dimensions.
do they have stationings of where that intersects, where you could calculate the hypotenuse of the triangle coming down?
I don't know if you got the next corner to the south, but
What I've done sometimes, to get me in that vicinity is I'll take that aerial photo. And if I can see that railroad bed and then, kind of project my line over and figure, well, okay, that's pretty clear. It says 538. Do the same thing to the south and see how, if they give me stationings along
the
that.
railroad bed is just stone. There's no rails.
Right.
So we're gonna
And
be
it's
putting
fluid.
with the,
Well, you can also take in the LiDAR, the DEM and put it with the aerial
Mhm.
and see the
See the slope of the,
slope. And
yeah, we
I
can
think
get,
that sometimes depending how grown up it is, it can be easier to figure.
it's not
sometimes.
super.
I've had that be within, a handful of feet, having that DTM, import that in and able to pull those distances and that'll get me something the size of this table to get out there and kind of research in. You'll definitely know whether you're within 20, 30 feet,
Well, we
Well,
can,
maybe
you can
close enough
see close, you can, I mean, I'm just saying, we don't have rails to split.
Yeah,
But we have-
Bed.
We got the old bed, so certainly we can get within a few feet.
yeah.
I did that down in Linton one time and and unbelievably,
Yeah.
we ended up finding something.
Are there valuation maps too that cover this area? Or it was just those two?
As far as what I found in the scan from Monroe County folders, this is what I'm seeing. You might be a bit more familiar with some of this than me as far as more use, but
Oh, yeah, some of those like found in recorders provided by VRCJ has a lot of the val maps. So what these were maps that I got down at the Monon Railroad Historical Society in Salem.
Pretty cool.
And then the val maps,
at this point.
they also might show stones and stuff, but they're gonna have more dimensions on the railroad itself, in terms of like maybe curve data, stuff like that.
This is green, so I'm guessing this was Green County stuff.
Well, if
Yeah,
nothing else, it'd be something we can locate as best we can, be something nice to add to the report. See how it fits, yeah. So I'm totally in agreement with you to table that one at this point. yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good point, Rachel. Good find.
Comfortable with supporting Shepherd's recommendation with tabling this
Yeah.
corner and bringing it back after some further evaluation.
That's kind of home sweet home to us for a while anyway. I might go back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
All
But
right.
so table Bean Blossom.
which we should table 5 and 3.
Yeah.
Both, because they both show
Both.
stones on that map.
Oh,
And one quick,
Well-
yes.
But
well, okay.
that was approved condition on us setting a monument, so that one was approved, but we could evaluate.
Does it have a distance?
It may not have
So
a
that-
distance. I didn't
so-
see.
But you might find a val map that
Yeah.
shows the stone too.
I think,
The fact that the railroad knew about it, to me, is reason to dig in a little bit more on
I
that.
think we'll look at that, but I guess from a procedure standpoint, we've approved it and that was just conditioned. And
That's
so it
fine.
was meant to update. No, I'm not trying to, I'm trying to be a stickler for the folks, but I'm not trying to be a hindrance of doing what is needed.
I'm just looking to see if there's anything there that
Well,
would give me.
It's on the agenda, so that's,
Oh, is it?
yeah, but, yeah, I mean, if we already approved it. then-
Was that approved
We can always
condition
undo
to
it.
setting the Harris mod?
They proved the theory of locating or of setting that, not the tie sheet. The tie sheet wasn't done.
Okay,
They said it yet.
then
Okay.
if that's the case, then we could just bring them both back.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I had such a solid theory of location on that one. I can't see changing that, to be honest. I'm based on the railroad bed that's not got tracks, and I don't even see a distance here, but you're saying there may be another map that,
Yeah, there's the valuation maps that have more dimensions usually. And if these maps are actually showing something, then if we have a valuation map, it could have the stone shown on it.
So-
Again, it's the same deal where 5% of them have it, but
Yeah.
it's like, I mean,
Well, we did
I
on
was
record.
not expecting to see it.
we knew the old records, it's on an open ground on this one, but it's in the middle of a crop field.
so here, this is just my thought on it is, Mike, if we ended up finding, and we don't know what you'll end up finding there, but say that it was 538 and we find out that this calculated position that we got here was 438. Now, that would be considerable enough to make me want to, they was the last ones to reference it, right? Would we not want to consider that?
We would also want to consider what we're doing with this occupation.
Well, I'm not saying, I mean,
Yeah.
east-west, it may not change us much, but north-south, it may. But it could change us east-west, because if you've got this area right here, I mean, you've got a nice little triangle to work with. And if they've got roads or railroad stations here and here, you'll have that hypotenuse and you'll be able to kind of get yourself close. The scary thing is, and one of those is when you're dealing with kind of an angle like this right here, where are you at on that hypotenuse sliding up and down? But
Right, absolutely.
no, that's interesting.
And maybe it ends up showing you that your calculated point is within a couple feet of
I
what,
think it will.
what you end up with.
I kind of think it will.
And then it's just more.
It's just more in the
Yeah.
location, yeah.
Just take a time. I want to make sure that I correct my mistake that last corner wasn't approved. I think basically we were asking the board if we set that and bring it back, would they be comfortable with the procedure that Mike was going to do to set that? And so with that said, there was a motion to table that corner if you wanted to add the friendly amendment to that or amend your motion to include.
Yeah.
IO5.
I-05.
Yeah, IO5.
Mhm.
Okay, so.
Yep.
Yeah.
So motion to table Bean Blossom IO3 and also reevaluate IO5 if any evidence arises.
Okay, there's a motion.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. I'll do a voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, carrying 2 ayes, motion passes.
Do we have, and I don't mean to derail us here. Our railroad's already got us off track. Do we have any easy ones? I see we're on a hard stop.
Yeah,
And do we have an easy one we can pluck?
Let's start over here at MO3 and go clockwise on section.
Section 4.
MO3 is and I'm sure it's a nice stone, been used by everybody every time, it's at a fence corner. I don't think anybody's gonna. I have much of any questions on that one.
Unless I pull up another document.
I'm curious now if that railroad one on section 4 showed this stone also.
I have that up.
Oh, yeah.
And it's gonna go all the way over there.
Oh, but there's the distance down to that other stone, isn't it? Sorry, but back to IO5 again.
Yep, it looks like it. Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah,
I could do a side by side to make it
1332.
easier for us. to
Okay.
check things out.
605.
Interesting.
So yeah, if you look at that, it catches that thing here and comes back down. Could we just add, what is that? 1387?
Looks like that from the east.
1332? I want to add that. I'm going to trust my map.
1332.
Is that 1337?
I can't read them from over here.
1332. What was the other one? 5 what?
1387 and 1332.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Did you add that?
2719. How?
2719.
Oh, it doesn't look good enough.
What you got there, Mike?
2742.
The 27.
Put 78 feet north of where we got it. There's no freaking way, guys. Am I looking at that right?
I'm at 27. Where was you at?
2719. And we measured 2640, so.
You meant, huh? Am I thinking?
I
right?
thought you had 2742 on here.
Yeah, you got 2742.
Oh, no, I'm on that section. Never mind. Okay.
Scared me here.
Yeah, it scared me too.
Man.
Okay, 2719,
Yeah.
2742. So that would bring it down. then.
But if either one of those could be shifted.
So it
to-
could bring it down 23 feet. Yeah, that's
Possibly.
out of the realm of
Possibly,
possibility.
right? I mean, if you got I-05 that's in a little bit of wonky position, I mean, it may not be as bad
Out
as
of the
you
realm
think.
of possibility.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking for the wrong section. I was like, it's 2640, man.
Well, let's,
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah, we'll look more into that one for sure.
as you can see, that's the only other call out for what we have as far as this MoDON scan documents. So I'll bring it back up if needed, but Ms. Ozer was curious. so-
Sorry, Tron,
No, that's, I
fully derailed.
did not even think about that. Rachel. I'm glad you.
Fine, I just get to prove myself to these guys that I've actually been here for,
I like how
A lot.
that, pulled that up. That was awesome.
I pretend I don't know things just so I don't have to be happy.
Yeah, I've got a lot of that going on around my shop.
I just noticed it. There's just a typo, I think, on the center of section. Maybe should be a K, is that?
It is KO. Oh, it is KO there. I did not notice that.
Okay. Center of third. Thank you.
We knew it was KO3.
So ML3.
You know,
Yeah,
I'm wondering, at this point, it looks like if we get one or two, great. There's no need to try to rush anything just to try to get more quotas, even though I think me and Jason were excited to get 100.
High hopes.
We could do a special meeting that, 2 days before Christmas. No.
Do it on.
Well, if we,
Oh, yeah.
well, if we don't, we get
Let's
to
just spend our new year, get our little New Year's hats and party.
Maybe instead of looking at the easier ones, you want to kind of maybe jump in that one, give them something.
Oh, the one that we were talking about,
And then just maybe get their,
the controversial one?
yeah.
Okay, the
I think that could
controversial
be the
one.
best use of
Yeah.
minutes.
Okay, the controversial
We
one.
don't have to approve anything.
All right, I don't know if it's gonna be controversial, but this is gonna be a discussion. Which is gonna be MO1. I think this is something we probably all do a little different, maybe. Yeah, we have a stone and then I went, followed the original township line to the next corner and went record offset, calculate that corner. When I did, I had a pin there, just happens to be Deckard's. And by my measurements, I missed it by 4/10 of a foot. So the-
That is like spot on, dude.
Yeah, so, yeah. Well, and the other thing I told Tron, I said, I cut an X on that stone before I shot your pin. If I had shot your pin first, I could have probably went back and moved my X on that stone 14. But the way I've always done it is to call it a calculated corner iron pin found 0.4 feet away. Some people I know don't do it that way. That's.
It's
my-
given some uncertainty to it.
Absolutely.
So that's what you're supposed to do, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's my thought, yeah.
I'm fine with that way. I mean, that is the by the book way. I personally do bearings monument to monument and don't close up to the township line and don't do the calculated corner. I am fully aware that you're supposed to do it.
Okay, I was gonna say, I'm not giving these, you're
No,
supposed
no,
to.
I mean, it's very
Yeah.
clear, but it's just not the way that I came up doing it. And so it's not the way I do it. And I've, in this office, we even, at one point, somebody else had done that and I was like, we're holding this monument as the technical order. And then we did as the board, so,
Well, if it
like I
was
said, I'm
under,
fine with you following that method,
Mhm.
especially since it's the correct way. But I will say I'm one of the people who doesn't do it that way.
to me, if it was under positional accuracy, it was under 0.26 feet,
Mhm.
I would probably call it correct and just lie about my measurement.
Mhm.
Because I'm really not, but once I cross that threshold of 0.26 feet, I feel I have to spell it out.
And that doesn't, I mean, in a situation like that, you're looking at 0.26 feet, you're looking at a stone of what size? And
You're looking at, like I said,
how accurate was your GPS shots? I mean, and how good was my guy setting where you took the shot on the rebar? I mean, you're looking at guys planing rebar. Did they set it perfectly plumb? Where did you take the shot at on the stone? And then you've got
Drawing.
a tenth, 1/1200th possibility on each one of these corners with your
It's another
GPS.
non-original corner.
Yeah, actually, in this particular case, I was setting on the stone, shooting the rebar. But again, I had just carved an X on that stone.
Mhm.
If I had set on the rebar, shot the stone, I could have moved that X. The stone's like this. I could have moved that X 4/10 of a foot. So yeah, it's a no-win situation.
It's online with is not a stone.
It's a Monday rebar.
So it's,
It's an uncertainty.
the problem could be there.
Yeah, it's an uncertainty.
Um,
But if you projected that 4/10 of a foot, 2640 east, you'd be.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I just hold them is because they're the monument and the plats are easier to draw when you hold the bearings,
I know.
the correct bearings and do like what you did. Everything works out better.
We're looking at the survey, the monument ties another part of that, and there is no monument that was set for the location that Mr. Shepherd's holding. He does reference where the rebar is and the distance from the rebar of where the monument is. So that's kind of the part two of this conversation. And just sake of timing, I'll say another thing that we've discussed kind of a handful of times about when we get to this, a corner that is a bit difficult and, maybe the board feels like tabling it, or maybe we recommend maybe it should be. I think the goal with our efforts here to perpetuate out the whole county is to identify those tabled corners, continue to kind of stockpile them, for lack of a better term, and move forward with our efforts of perpetuating the whole county. And then when we have more of that complete, come back to those corners where maybe there has been additional work or we just really have to drill in and determine which corner we're going to hold as a board.
I think in this case, you're overthinking that when we're talking 4/10 of a foot.
No, I know.
I'm not telling anybody wrong.
I know, but I'm just trying to, have conversations of scenarios
Yeah.
when we get to that impasse. So
But the ones we tabled today, we're gonna.
we're going to bring.
Right away.
No, I'm talking about the ones where it's just kind of going to be a split, tough decision. And I think our efforts of perpetuating out the whole county and then coming back to those more difficult corners where we really have to at one day decide which one to hold. And there's going to be a bunch of different opinions with members. With that, I'd like to move to adoption of our next meeting, January 20, or move to public input. Anyone with the public? No, there's people waiting. All right, we're back. Adoption of the next January 21st meeting.
Second.
All right, motion second, voice vote, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion pass. We will now adjourn today's meeting, or adjourn. Thank you, and sorry to rush, sorry for the. looking.
I've got one down in Indian Creek I'm working on right